if we built something that was basically a brain in an engineering sense,
Yeah.
would it act? Would it process and think like a person, or is there like something else that's not tangible, and like the feeling of, or the idea of being alive, or some sort of non-measurable force that's making our brain work the way it does?
Well, a lot of people would like to believe the latter, but the evidence we have is really clear. And at the moment, there doesn't appear to be any sort of non-tangible, mysterious force going on. And from my perspective, we understand this well enough that we can actually build machines that work, not like the entire brain. No, I don't know of anyone who wants to build a human within the human nervous system, but we do want to build machines that work like the neocortex, and they will think. I have a chapter in my book about this, about machine consciousness, what it takes to be conscious. But it is a process that we can make machines have. It sounds, many people think it's mysterious, but from my perspective, it's not so much. And so, yes, machines will think. They will think. They won't be like us. They're not going to look like us. They're not going to act like us. I make the big distinction. We don't want machines having our emotions and our drives. There's nothing about recreating animals or humans. But can a machine that recreates the neocortex and a few other parts of the brain think and be aware that it's thinking? Absolutely. And there is no missing life force or consciousness sauce that you need to do that. It can be all understood in terms of normal biology, chemistry, and physics. We can talk about it if you want.
Yeah. I mean, like the thing that makes that interests me about this like particular part is that is death the thing that is driving our brains forward, and that the kind of desire in some ways to procreate. Like I know I can't remember who the quote is from, but they said that the entire like human intellect is like an elaborate mating ritual, and that all of these like these drives of wanting to create the next generation, knowing that we're eventually going to die, is the thing that has driven our minds to create wonderful, brilliant things. It's like the reason that J.R.R. Tolkien cites in The Lord of the Rings that the elves don't do very much is because they've not been blessed with a ticking clock in the same way that like men have in the book. Like that's the way they think about it, and I think it's a really interesting way of looking at why minds work.
I have a very I developed this idea in the third part of the book, but in fact, I think it's one of the most important things I write about in this book. Here's how I think about it: humanity. I'm a rationalist, right? We're animals. We evolved like other animals, and we have all this evolutionary baggage and history, right? And so everything we have right now in our bodies was there to serve our genes in some sense, to serve our procreation. But what's happened is we're the first species that has developed a brain that is able to understand the bigger picture. We're the first species that understand that we're living on an Earth, and that the Earth revolves around a sun, and that the universe is big. We're the first species on this planet to know how we got here through evolutionary forces and the mechanisms of biology. No other animals know this. They have no clue about any of this stuff. And we are the first people who can foresee into the future and see what the future might hold for our species, for our planet, climate change, whatever. And none of the animals are worrying about this stuff. So, in some sense, this all started with the process, what we call the Enlightenment, right? And we started realizing, oh my God, we can understand the world. And we're now at this cusp where we're still this animal that has all these drives, right? We still want to have sex, we need to eat, we don't want to die, and all this stuff. This is all the service of genes. That's it. There's no other purpose to it. But we also have this intellect. And the intellect itself enjoys knowledge and enjoys speaking like, oh, look, it's too bad I have this, body that's getting old, and too bad, and here's how we got here. But, and so we're at this point where we can ask ourselves, what is the future of ourselves? What's the future of our species? Do we want to continue to be driven by these biological necessities of evolution and procreation? Or do we want to change the future to serve our knowledge and our intellect? And that's a very profound question. And I talk a bit about the different things we can do if we wanted to really preserve ourselves as not as a biological species, but us as an intellectual species. So I think it's a fascinating question. And I think we're just at the cusp of being able to do things like modify our genes and create intelligent machines and solve all these diseases and live on other planets and so on, that we now can ask ourselves, do we want to continue being driven by these biological forces?
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the podcast. Don't forget our sponsor, ExpressVPN, and my book, Brexit, the Establishment Civil War, can both be found in the links in the description below. And also, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. It's the best way to help us grow. Until next time, thanks for listening. Screw the hedge funds.
You can make as many rules as you want, but if there's no teeth behind them, what's the point?
Well, like Citadel is potentially just gone in a few months. It feels like financial institutions, that they are all laughing at us by buying GME. Screw the hedge funds. Like, I will lose my entire investment if it brings them down.
Why on earth, last May, could you buy the entire company for $200 million?
What's been happening on Reddit and in social media and in the marketplace has never been seen before.
I argue that nothing is off the table. There is nothing off the table when dealing with the volumes of money in something as big as the United States stock market.
The hedge funds have clearly underestimated a group of people raised on Friday night World of Warcraft raids.
Dark pools, they're another mechanism to manipulate and cheat. Mainstream journalists don't say these things for a number of reasons. One is their sources are the people that I'm talking about, and so they can't call somebody a crook.
Superstonk and the other communities that have emerged are a hive mind, the likes of which we have never seen before. It's madness and brilliance, insanity and genius all rolled into one. It's very possible that Citadel will be gone in a few months. And not just Citadel, but the entire financial system has the potential to come crashing down. These crooks continue to gamble recklessly with the world economy, and this could be the moment that they finally get their justice.